Hey, it's Lee here. Welcome to the Real Estate Baller Show. If you ever like any of the video we posted, if you like this channel, can you do me a quick favor and hit the subscribe button? It helps this channel more than you know, and the bigger this channel gets, the more people we can help achieve financial freedom. Thank you and enjoy this episode. And a quick word from today's sponsor, Buzz Vacation Rentals. I've been asked a lot about passive investment, and I understand that there's nothing passive about being a landlord unless you find a great property management company. If you own an Airbnb or a vacation rental or a short-term rental in the Galveston, Houston, Seabrook area, and you want to free up your time, contact our team at Buzz Vacation Rental at 281-549-8432 or visit our website at buzzvacationrentals.com. Thank you, and now back to the Real Estate Baller Show. You're a Houston native, right?
Yes.
What's your favorite place to go in Houston?
What a loaded question. There's so many places to go in Houston. Of course, Citizen Title being one, but Houston's known for its food, so I either got to say Papados or Papacitos. You know, we're a foodie city over here, so either that or my home. I'm a homebody now. I'm 41, so I love being home.
All right. What's your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby right now is probably sports, to be honest. You know, when I'm not at
sports or watching sports?
Probably both, to be honest. Yeah, both. Here in Texas, I was in high school football, and I love being included in sports, basketball, football, all the above. I have a 13-year-old son, so we're pretty active in sports. He's in football, track, and basketball. So if I were to probably say one of my hobbies, it would be sports when I'm not at church.
Oh, crap. I think I got the wrong set of questions. We're here to talk about real estate, aren't we? Okay. Let's get back to real estate business, yeah? So tell us, who is Jared Gray?
I'm a 41-year-old hard-working guy. You know, I'm a easygoing guy. I'm a oil and gas native here in Texas. So I was in oil and gas for 15 years. I'm a father of 3 kids, and I got 2 girls that go to Blinn and the A&M over there at College Station. I have a 13-year-old son, business owner, still trying to figure it out.
So you got a really interesting story and past to you. How did you get started in real estate?
Great question. So, you know, and long story short, you know, I've always had the dream of I had an epiphany moment. I had 2 or 3 epiphany moments in my life. And, you know, as a kid, I was the kid selling candy in school, right? So I always was this-minded, you know, but to answer it specifically, I guess I lost some money. I was in oil and gas for a while, and I lost some money in the 13-14 market when oil hit $100 a barrel, and then it dropped. It dropped drastically, and I lost a lot of money in my 401k, so I started looking at alternative investments, and I found real estate. You know, I was either going to pull the trigger on being an Amazon seller account, trying to sell product and actually selling the products. I was researching, you know, whether I was going to go into the health and wellness niche but I didn't pull the plug, and I had some money in my 401k. I bought a rental, found out what a wholesale fee was. I hired a coach, and then after that, you know, there's no looking back. I started connecting the dots and figuring out what wholesaling was, and I hit the ground running in that. So that's how I got introduced into real estate.
So like most of us who got started, you know, most of us started in the wholesaling side of things, right? And you try to build up some reserves, some capital, then you start playing the bigger games, right?
For sure. Yeah.
So tell us about that first deal that you were involved with. What was it like? Walk us through that.
So my first deal, I was in a closed door office just like this. I was working at a company called Oceaneering Oil and Gas Company. I was a project manager, and I've been there for 15 years, so I had a little bit of seniority, and I could kind of come and go as I please. And I closed the door. I hired 2 cold callers, and I got a duplex deal in Conroe. And it was through cold callers, and I think I was trying to wholesale it to Blake Yarborough.
I know Lakers, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna make like 5 or 6,000 on a wholesale, because I wasn't even wholesaling to him. I was wholesaling to his acquisition rep, right? And she gave me an offer, I guess, because she was gonna find a buyer, and I was always trying to, my coach told me to go around to all the wholesalers in Houston and network with them, try to feed off them and network if you don't have a buyer's list. Well, I was trying to go, and that's how I met my partner, and I was trying to get him to go to lunch with me, and he would never give me the time of the day because he knew I was going to ask all these questions, probably try to steal his MLS login, but he never did it. He never did lunch. And I said, okay, hey Cody, I have a deal. I have under contract. Here it is. Here's the numbers. And he blasted it out. I think I ended up making almost the same amount. We JV'd on it 50-50. I think we made like 17 grand on the deal, and we split it. And after I made that check and looked at that check and looked at what I was making at the oil and gas company, and I'm just like, man, that took nothing, nothing. And
so you got real in.
I got hooked. I was on the phones just constantly, and I hit the pedal to the metal. Cashed out my 401k, sold my personal home, wanted all the liquidity. And there was no looking back after that. I was hooked. Hook, line, and sinker. Wholesaling was the holy grail for me.
Man, you're a lot braver than me. I did not make that transition quickly. It took me several months. I was more of the type of like, I want to be sure before I go all in.
Right.
So it took a few more, deal for me to commit it that way.
I didn't quit right then and there. I guess it took me a couple months. I would probably say, and to be honest, my mindset going into it was they're going to have to fire me because I'm not going to quit. They're not going to give me a severance package, if I quit, So I closed my door, and I was just not. I know it's horrible now. I look back at it now, and I shouldn't have handled it that way. But, that's what happened. They were like, look, Jerry, what's going on with your projects? And like, man, like, what's going on? They gave me a severance package, and it probably took me 3 or 4 months. But, I left a career that, in my mind, I made the switch very quickly after I made that check. But I did put a strategy. I wasn't that blind. I was blind, but not that blind. In my mind, I know I was done. And, I had just had some deaths in my family. I saw my grandma and grandpa die in about a year's worth of time. And I'm 40 at the time. And I'm like, man, this can be a very real reality to me, them being 80. This is 40 more years. I'm halfway. Like,
yeah,
I'm not going to be on that bed. That's not going to be me. I go back and look at the dreams that I had as a child, and I'm just like, this ain't it. So I like mind hacked myself to like, this is it. This is my go time right now. It's either step up to the plate or that's where you're going to be. You're going to be on your deathbed thinking, I wish I would have took a risk. And after I did that, I'm just like mentally I was checked out, and I went all in, all in.
Looking back at it, like, are you glad that you went all in? Or was there any, moment where you felt like, I should have just gotten halfway?
Bro, no, yeah.
I have a little more time.
I have buyers, here at Citizen, and, they pick my brain because they know my story because I've been on some podcasts before. So some people know my testimony about how I did it, but I wish I would have not done it so quick because I wasn't bankable. I didn't understand about not being bankable, and getting DCR loans or DSCR loans and buying more properties. Cause at the time I was like already there where I could be a major buyer, not just a wholesaler. And I didn't take that into an account as far as getting the rates I needed and being bankable. So I would have not quit. I wish I would have never quit, and I would have just did wholesaling as a side hustle and really leveraged my company more than anything, because I know guys that are doing it. They're still working full time at their company, but they can't get their wholesaling business going. So there's a happy medium to it all. I mean, I know guys that will kill it in wholesaling if they would just quit. They're already got a pipeline full and they're trying to manage too much, and it's just, there's a happy medium where you got to know enough is enough. Or knowing I'm never going to quit my W-2. I'll just wholesale on the side, use that to pick and just go into it as a rental landlord, and never have a full-fledged wholesaling. I probably would have hired someone on the wholesaling business rather than me do it on my side and just stayed at the W-2 and managed and leverage somebody else to run my wholesaling. But I mean, that's if, ands, and buts, who knows what would have happened, but I would have had a better strategy for sure. And I would have thought about it a little bit more to know how it could have done better, because there's always a better way.
So how long was it after you decided to go full time, all in real estate, and you had your moment like, oh crap, what did I just do? I'm sure we all had those moments, right? No, I really didn't.
Well, no, not in wholesaling. No, there really wasn't, because me and Cody were doing so much. I would probably say like, when we had a bad month in wholesaling, like, oh man, like, what did we just do? Really, it wasn't till I, like, a serious, probably when I got the title company, and like, what did I do? Because, and then we could kind of feed into that. But on the wholesaling side, I didn't really have that because how much we were doing. There was one month where we did like 20 deals. It was ridiculous. And it was just like a team of like 5 people too. It wasn't like, hey, we didn't have 10 people doing that. It was just us, and we averaged, I would probably say 7, 8, properties a month in the wholesaling. And so there was no time to really reflect because we had so much going on, and we were making a lot of revenue. We were hitting our numbers. It's hard to sustain that on your own. You need to leverage other people to be able to do that. And at that time, it was just up and up and up and up and up. So I never had that moment really until I got in the title. That's when I was like, man, what did I do?
So, all right. So you started out wholesaling. Were you also building your rental portfolio at a time, or you just wholesale everything that came across?
Yeah, personally, we were more building our company portfolio rather than personally. I know a lot of partners that do that. Personally, we didn't, which I would have also probably changed that as well, because I hate property managing with partners, and getting nothing basically out of it, as far as cash flow. So I wouldn't have bought properties heavily on the rental side. Now we're selling them because we hate property management, and it's not our strategy right now. Because we went in and bought. We kind of like didn't want to go into buying single family rentals. We wanted to jump into the commercial space real quick.
Oh,
We thought we were big time commercial wholesalers. Now, we were doing a lot of revenue in wholesaling. So we thought we had enough liquidity to get into the commercial space, which we did. We had enough to enter. We didn't have enough to sustain though. huge lesson learned about wholesalers want to get into the commercial space. With hard money lending, and wholesaling, you can get away with doing a hard money flip, having 10 to 20, 30, 40, 50 grand and feeling comfortable on a hard money flip or whatever, or having that much to do a wholesale company. But to enter the commercial space, if you think you're going to get away with having only 100 grand in your account and you're going to hit commercial and get into owning a 16 unit or a 30 unit and only having 50 to 100 grand in your account, you better think again. That'll go 50 to 100 grand will go in a month, easily in the commercial space. So, we probably should have waited until we had 600-700 grand liquidity in the commercial space. So to answer your question, we as far as getting into the buy side, we did it as a partnership. We went heavy, but we went into buying a 16 unit, buying an 8 unit, and here and there by doing flips. We were more active on the flips. We did the Airbnb and we did some owner finance. The rentals actually turned into owner finance notes whenever we didn't want to property manage them. We just, owner finance them.
I think we discussed this before we started recording, was something that you shared that you do, and I do the same. But every time we go through an experience, I call it, I debrief. And I think you said you do the same. You look back and you say, okay, what could you have done differently? And looking back, it sounded to me like you guys just started to do all kinds of different things, right? You started wholesaling and you had a lot of success in the wholesaling business. So then you now think you're the big boys, right? You could go conquer the world. And we all feel that. We all have that in us, right? And you want to do everything.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, we were just, oh man, we got introduced to a lot of guys. We got a part of a mastermind. Oh yeah, let's go start a business. I mean, not only getting commercial space, we started other businesses. We're like, yeah, let's go buy that, buy that. We had money, buy. But, oh man, that's what I love about business. Even when your worst failures, there's always going to be a humongous lesson learned, whether you lost 50 grand or not. Yeah, I mean, it's 50 grand, it's lost, but you just learned a lot. And a lot of people fail to realize that, that's not just a lesson learned. That's our money lost. That's a huge lesson learned. Now you get to cross that off, eliminate off of that list because you're not doing it again,
Yeah, I think nothing engraved in your brain as hard as seeing how much money in the bank that you started off with and how much you end up with when you make the wrong decisions,
Oh, 100%, because I know what I had when I quit my W-2.
Yeah.
A W-2, I sold personal home, and I cashed out my 401k. I wanted all that money to go build a team, hire people. And, people don't really take into account the risk that it takes to be able to do that, and now looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, I don't have that much anymore, but what do I have? I have a business that pays me for my freedom now. I have a title company where I really don't have to be here. I could go on 2 weeks vacation and I can earn my W-2 paycheck that I earned from it. And I basically bought my freedom where I can get into another business, but yeah, 100%. There's nothing worse than a gut-wrenching feeling on seeing, or not even seeing all that money gone, but the fluctuation in business, like what it is on a monthly basis. Like, oh my God, what did I get myself into, man?
Yeah, I think it's really hard. I think as an entrepreneur, business owner, the biggest challenge that we end up facing sometimes is when we're on top of the mountain and you get everything coming at you. And it takes discipline to say no, right? Because everything sounds great. I mean, we all have this in us, in our blood, in our genes, to look at things on the brighter side. Because otherwise you can't go start your own business. But so then you end up trapping yourself and overextending and then not realizing the amount of cash it takes to.
That's exactly correct. Yeah, I mean, y'all couldn't have said it better. That's exactly what we did. It's in our blood, and we feel like we're risk takers. And oh man, I just took a risk. And it panned out well. We're having $300,000. We had a $300,000 month, $200,000 month. We hit $100,000 months consistently very early, like in our first year. And it was just like, oh man, if we could do that, look at the risk that we took. So that was what we had on our mind. Hindsight's 2020. So whatever we do next is gonna be the same. It's like shout up, no. 16 unit. You didn't look at the plumbing. You didn't look at the electrical. Like. Oh man, yeah, for sure. We want to take over everything and risk it all, and there's a point in business where you have to start looking at things and saying, this is not smart, and I learned quick on the buying side about evaluating and not letting wholesalers not let you have access to certain deals, especially commercial side. Like, you can have access to these 3 units, but you can't have access to these other 8 units because there's tenants. I would never, ever buy a property or a commercial property that I didn't have full access to all the units, and it's just because, you're like, oh yeah, it's because there's tenants. No, it's because there's an electrical problem or plumbing problem they don't want you to see. Or evaluate how bad the foundation is over there in that unit, So definitely huge lesson learned there, and all that in business in general,
That falls back to the due diligence, right? You bought 16 units, well, you only looked at maybe 3. So it sounds like due diligence would not perform the way it should.
Correct. Right.
Well, I'm glad you made all those mistakes for us, Jared.
I know, right? You're welcome.
All right. So the listener, the audience will really appreciate you. Tell us that transitions. How did you get from the wholesaling side into title where you are now?
In our wholesaling business, like I said, we were doing a lot of volume and transactions, and the way we had it structured, I was on the acquisition and transaction side, and my partner was on the market. You got the 4 quadrants in wholesaling: transactions, disposition, acquisition, and marketing. So he was on the marketing and dispo side. I was on the transaction side, and we would have the low months, and we would look at opportunity and like, where is our low hanging fruit? And it's like title. Title was our hardest thing ever to clear. We would have some months $200,000-$300,000 in assignment fees not closing because, we couldn't get a hold of the title company, or we didn't understand title enough, or we weren't getting calls back, or title companies wasn't calling the seller or buyers and looping it all in. And we were part of a mastermind. So this goes back to masterminds and coaching and getting the right people to be able to mentor you. And we had a guy in our mastermind that was a wholesaler. He was a broker. He was a hard money white gloving broker as well. Not only an agent and a broker, but he was a hard money white glover, and a title as well. He was on title. So like out of one
money white glover.
He just
hard money white.
He's a broker. Like okay, throwing it to a hard money guy and earning a point on it. So
okay.
He was title. He was getting the client that had the hard money. He wholesaled it to that person. And then he was also like an agent. And then he'll get him.
He got his fingers dipping everything.
But he made money 4 or 5 different ways. And we're like, oh man, it blew our mind. And we're like, we're getting a title company because that's exactly what we need. So we started the title company, and we went in it, and it was a good idea in business in general, right? That was a good stop the moment, man. That's a great idea for us because it serves 2 purposes, right? It gives us more control over our deal, and if we can, get some of our buddies to throw us some deals, we could turn a profit, and see where it goes. But looking back at it, we went into it the right way. We just didn't understand what it took to run the business. We had we had faster expectations on how quick titles should be, and it's more on the legal compliance side on as far as not just title, but any business in general. It's not that quick of money, and we went into it thinking that we could just do the same thing we did in our wholesale business. We could pump money in, pump money out, put $20,000 in the marketing machine and get $100,000 out. It's not like that with title, and you got customer service involved, so, and legal and laws and all this other crazy stuff. You got sellers and buyers to deal with, legal and compliance to deal with. So, on the title side, we didn't understand the curve that it took on the legal and compliance side to hire the right people, get the right processes and procedures down on that side. So I know that was a lot. I probably went off track a little bit, but just business in general, that's how I got basically into title,
It's interesting because they're completely different model. It's the business, but still it's a different way of making money, right? In the wholesale, you make money from assignment. In the title business, you make money from selling title policy, basically.
Yeah, it's almost opposite, B. It's almost opposite. One, like now that you say that, it's a good idea or, a good comment about that. One is sales and marketing and bending the rules to get the seller under contract, right? Or saying whatever you got to say to get the deal under and get the deal contracted and signed. And one is the opposite. One is, how am I going to make this deal right and pump the brakes and to get it right and get it done where the buyer is going to have a solid policy. How, what am I missing to have this deal going through rather than diving headed first and going into it in sales and marketing? One's diving head first, one's like pump the brakes, hold on, like let me make sure I'm good, totally complete, even though they feed each other, totally complete different business models, completely.
Yeah, because you go from the adrenaline junkie, like, every time you see an assignment fee, your adrenaline goes up, and then now you go into the title business, and you're like, man, it's such a downer, right?
It is. It really is. It really is. Yeah. So much, thinking about it, it's just like, man, we made so much money drilling junkie. It's just like, we can apply the same thing and we don't understand what it takes to be able to do that. We didn't do diligence. We didn't do our due diligence on what it was actually gonna take and to get the business right. We didn't understand it, and it's a very small niched world on the title side too. Even though there's like one on every corner, everybody in title knows everybody in title, right. And it's just like real estate. Once you get into real estate, you start figuring out who is who, and that's business in general. But title is kind of the same way in navigating the realms of title world, but it's the due diligence. You didn't understand what it took, and I would have changed my mindset in people and the people that I needed. We think we could just go hire anybody off the street, run title, and be good to go, but we don't understand what it actually took. So, yeah, I could have done so many things different. I could have leveraged people and a good title guy, or hired a mentor in title to be able to figure out what it was or whatever. I could have done my due diligence, but we jumped in head first, just like we did into wholesaling, just like we did into commercial buying. We did the same thing, and now it's I've learned my lesson. Hopefully.
So, are you happy with the decision you made, and are you happy with where you are?
Yeah, I'm happy with where I'm at. I mean, even though like title is not my passion, solving other people's problems is really not my passion, right? Like, we get sellers and buyers and wholesalers and investors and brokers and builders and developers calling up here, lawyers calling up here all the time, threatening to do this, threatening to sue this, that. I mean, we get all kind of crazy stuff, you can only imagine, right? And, it's firefighting mode, and I mean, all day, every day, even though in business in general, that's how it is, but in title, you know how it is. I mean, it's just not, that's not my passion. My passion is getting deals under contract and equity, right? Going after that large equity when title is so much different. It's a volume transaction business. My passion is in business, right? Even though like I may have done better in investments, but my passion and the reason why I haven't got out of title, it's a very good business. There's months where our profit is, 30 or 40% sometimes. And now it's for me as a business owner, I see that as a challenge to repeat it. I'm like, what did we do right in that month? And that's a challenge to me. That's where I'm happy. I'm happy with challenges. So it's not titled. It's
overcoming challenges.
Yeah, that's it. It's just asset. Wholesale was an asset. This is an asset. That relationship's an asset. I'm overcoming, trying to do the challenge, and I'm addicted to beating the system and the challenges, and trying to replicate that same month. Even though it's good money, I'm trying to replicate that, and you need good people to be able to do that. It's so important. I didn't understand that. I'm just like, well, how come they just can't be like me, V? Like, how come they can't get to work at 5 a.m. and work till 8 p.m.? Like, how come they can't work for that? So I'm like, these people are driven like I am. What is going on? So, I learned that in business, and, I still fail all the time, every day, but I've gotten a lot better. I always say that, I've been saying this a lot recent, is my worsts are getting better. My worst is getting better. My mistakes are getting smaller, and every day where I don't fail as bad, is a win for me, so.
Back to your comment about why can't they be like me? This statement from one of my coaches sort of engraved in my head, right? Because I questioned the same thing when I started out. I said every person I ever let go is because I feel like they haven't done enough, and they feel like they worked their butt off. So I said, where did things go wrong, right? And so my coach at the time said to me, V, there are only 1% of people out there that are maybe like you, similar to you. So with that mindset, nobody's like you, right? You'll be lucky to meet another one like you, because only 1% in the world like you, and billions of people. How many billion? We got 8 billions now?
Yeah.
So what's the likelihood of you meeting someone like you? Very slim, right? But so in this, your title company, is it more investor focused or is it retail focused? Like when I say retail, meaning actual buyer, homeowner, seller in the retail market.
No, I mean, it's definitely investor. So we're investor friendly. We know how to do all the assignments, and we're definitely investor focused. But there was a lawyer that's in the title business that I met, Scott Horn, to be honest, and like he's like, man,
he was a guest on the show before.
Oh, he was? Okay. He's like,
yes.
You did it right, Jared. Like, but I did it without knowing. Organically, I got into the right, because there's always all the sectors and buckets in title, right? You got the refi bucket, you got the investor bucket, the retail bucket with the agents, the commercial bucket, and the builder developer bucket. He said, you hit the right one because you keep the wheels spinning and the lights on, and it's not cyclical, because investors are full-time real estate investors in Houston. They got to put meat on the table, so they're buying product, and it never dips. They're buying in the winter. In the slow months, in the retail side, they're buying, and it's flat line. There's no ups or downs. I mean, there's a little bit here and there, but it's not like the summer and winter in retail. It's just cyclical, and refis, right? Like now we're experiencing that in refis, and knowing that, I'm like, oh man, I get to pat myself on the back, but I'm like, dang, that wasn't my strategy, but now I know that, it helps me understanding business in general, because even though I've been doing this since 2019, that's been, 4 or 5 years now, I by any means have anything figured out. I'm still this newbie business entrepreneur that is still, wet behind the ears, tongue in cheek. I'm wet behind the ears. I'm still green to this, and I'm still learning all this stuff. So, circling yourself around pros like that and like yourself is detrimental to business ownership.
Thank you. Now let's go back. Okay, being a W-2 employee for an operation, you had acquired some skills, right? Certain skill set. And then you decided to just go cold turkey into building your wholesale business. And now you have to acquire a new set of skill, right?
Yeah.
You may be some skill may be transferable, but some were not.
Right.
So now you have to learn the skill set of being a business owner, because you show up and you don't make deals. For W-2, you show up, you clock it, you get your check, unless your company falls, right?
100%.
But that to me, that overcoming that challenges and expecting, having be mentally prepared, to me, that's one of the toughest experience that a business owner face.
Yeah.
And let's talk about you, like your path. You started in 2019, and you went from an employee now to an employer, right? And then you I'm sure you didn't have the skills to okay, what kind of people I need to put on my team? What are the skill set that these people need? You now have to go in and create your own policy, procedure, set your goal, deadline,
For sure, 100%.
It's gotta be scary.
No, it really is, to be honest. I knew what I had was work ethic. I had work ethic being from the oil field, because there were some days where I would stay up offshore, and I'm not just saying oil field. I'm saying I was a worker. I was slinging sledgehammers and tripping pipe and doing the manual labor. And there were some days where I worked 48 hours. I had no sleep. We were offshore in the Gulf of Mexico. We're working on $1 million a day drilling rig that it costs $1 million a day. There ain't no sleep out here, man. You're down, your equipment's down. You got to get it done, and you got to figure it out. So I was able to transfer that mentality, which is, don't quit mentality, right? And figure out, no matter what, the rubber meets the road, where any business owner needs to have that no matter what. So I was blessed with that mentality to the extreme, right? 4 a.m. in the office, and I'll go. That's what I had on my side. I'm like, I don't care. I have that, at least I know where if, I lose all my employees, I still have me. I can do everything, but that doesn't benefit anybody, to be honest, as a business owner. You can't do everything on your own. So I had that for me, the work ethic, but and I can sell and I can talk, and I'm a people person. I feel like I'm good at sales, and I can read people and I can talk with people, but managing people, I was horrible at, and I still am not good at it. It's not like the book Traction, by Gino Wickman.
Yeah.
And it's not my strong suit. I don't do well managing people. I need to have someone there. I can, and the other thing that I had was policies and procedures. I did have that because we were in a safe and compliant business in oil and gas. Everything had to be safe. So there's always a procedure and policy to check off. So I was a visionary, but at the same time, I had the integrator mindset, as far as there's got to be something for everything. There's got to be a step, a checkbox, this, that, and this. Has to be a process, for everything. So I kind of had all that, but I was horrible managing people. I did not know how to manage people and bring the best out of it. I struggled with that even with my own son. I can't coach him in sports. I have to hire it's not me. It's not that I don't love doing it. I feel like I can show people how to do it and what I do, and then just why can't you just copy what I'm doing, But I didn't understand that other people have they're built different, the this scenario, and people learn different ways. And I still fail at that, and I need help with, hiring other people to be able to do that. So that rings true to me so much, and not only that, like with people managing people, structuring business in general on the financial side, I struggled majorly with that as well. Just business in general and job profit and, profit and loss and tax strategies, the strategy in general, doing my due diligence, which I can do it, I know how to do due diligence on a flip, but as far as everything that it entails, as far as tax strategy, profit and loss, what it's going to take, who you're going to need to hire, taking the cost, there's so much to it, and those are my highs and lows as far as all that stuff,
Well, you opening a third location, so you sound very successful to me. Well, tell us, what did you do? How did you overcome, I think a lot of people don't realize the amount of stress and the amount of preparation, sweat, work, the number of decisions that you have to make when you go and build your own business. And so you just share your, the financial, the hiring people, the building the team, the legality. How did you overcome? What were some of the techniques, the strategies, the process that you did to help you to get these things in order?
In title in general is, for me, I had a mentor. I hire an attorney. Then I have him on retainer, and he's not my guy on staff that does all my docs. He's an ex-Texas Department of Insurance employee, and he's a consultant. And I pay $750 a month for him. I get 3 hours a month, and he's like my business coach. But he's title specific, and he tells me about all the legalities of it, But people don't really understand the cost of doing business and what it takes as far as investing into someone, because, now that I'm talking that out, I'll go and I'll get a peer give me advice on hiring a coach. I'm like, I don't need a coach. I'm good to go, but not knowing that I have a coach in this already, it's so important to leverage people that, and me talking this out is like making me thirst as I'm going, because I don't get a lot of time to sit there and do that. I'm so in the business of doing this and trying to figure it out. So you fail as business owner of getting out and getting into a high level. I'm like, I can't hire that coach, when I'm really already taking the cost on hiring a coach to be able to do it. So as far as overcoming the stuff, I leverage people, that have already been there to tell me how to do this, and I leverage my money. It comes back to time and money. I leverage my money, and I learn from other people that are already making the mistakes that are doing it, and I would say the other way is I was blessed with people. I was blessed with escrow officers to be able to get another branch. They have a book of business. Here at Citizen, I have my own book of business. 99% of the book of business is my book of business. In title, this is one thing I learned in title, the Capitals and the Patents and all of these other larger title companies of the world, they have sales reps that have book of businesses. They have escrow officers that have book of businesses where you could just implant them into your business, and they pay for themselves. They could pay for the branch. They could take all that cost, and I didn't really have that. And once I understood that in title, I'm like, you get an office, and let's go. I didn't want my one office here because I've already experienced it wholesaling, having a lot of success and delegating hire, and have all this headache. I didn't want that, and I didn't understand title in general until I learned that about escrow officers. And sometimes there's things that you're not going to learn. I was just blessed. You got to have that. For me, is my higher power. I had a little bit of that, and I was blessed with these two people. And now I have a branch in Tomball and a branch in Pearland now. And so you got to have from your side sometimes. You're not going to know.
Congratulations.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All right. So you said you 40-something, right? So
40-something.
what is the 40-something-year-old Jared? What would you tell your 18-year-old Jared?
Whew. Man, well, V, I got to admit, when I would tell myself to get my head out of my butt. I was doing some bad stuff when I was 18. You know, V, I got to be honest here with you. You know, you asked me some of the things before we got on the podcast that you wouldn't want to talk about, but you know, I told you I was an open book. I was doing bad things when I was 18. I didn't graduate high school. I was a high school dropout and went straight to the oil field. And I was traveling city to city, state to state in the oil field doing some bad stuff, you know.
Yeah, because you got all the stuff accessible to you.
Bad actor. And yeah, for sure. And I would tell myself, get your head out of your butt, you know, like get the right mentor, get out of that environment. Look, there's something there's something to life other than drinking and partying, and you can only imagine what oil field guys do. You know, there's something more to life than that, you know, like to the young people out there that are listening, more to life than that. You know, get out of it earlier. It leaves you on a deathbed. Yeah, I just got a call from my sister, my cousin. He's got kidney cancer, and like they're like not pulling the plug, but it's like for real stuff. And I haven't had a drink in a long time, and that's what I would tell my 18-year-old self is there's more to life. You're here for a reason, you know, and it's not drinking and partying.
Now say it in a way that an 18-year-old, what you just said, you think an 18-year-old Jared would listen?
Get your head out of your ass. Yeah, we're there.
It's funny you say no drink. Growing up, I think we grew up in an environment where alcohol was a thing, right? Yeah, everything you do is related to alcohol. But the older I get, the more I learn and study, and I realize that alcohol is bad. You know, I mean, it's funny because I was Googling like what kind of drink is okay, like healthy, and it says whiskey, and I'm like, okay. So I drink whiskey, and I'm like, my memory is fogging, and you know, the scale, I was about to break the scale. So.
Well, you just listen to a doctor, you know, and he'll tell you the top two things are going to be smoking and drinking, you know, and I was raised around that my whole entire life, you know, it was normal to my culture, you know, and you don't really understand that until you get a little bit of wisdom, you know, and it's so detrimental to have mental clarity, you know what I mean? And it's not just because of the morale and value, even though quitting leads to better morale and value, I believe, but the health benefits of it, you're right. I mean, that's the biggest thing, but it leads to other better things in life, you know?
Totally agree. Okay, so before we close out, what are some other words of wisdom that you want to share with our audience today?
Words of wisdom. I'm still trying to get wisdom and understanding, to be honest. I don't consider myself a wise and understanding person because I'm trying to learn from my mistakes, you know. If I were to offer up any wisdom and understanding is you know, I embrace the failure. You know, and I know it's cliche because, or some people may have never heard this before, but, you know, in the entrepreneurial business world, you know, embracing the failure, or embracing the suck, you know, as, I forget the guy that said that, but to not quote him, but to embrace the failure, you know, embrace the suck. Try to, you know, don't get down in the failure. Just understand, calm in the storm and to learn the lesson going through the negative, because you're always going to get closer to your goal. It's another obstacle on the road. You're going to figure it out. There is a promised land. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Always look for the lesson learned in a failure. And really, when you go really deep into that, and you understand there's something in a failure, you embrace the failure while it's happening. You don't get upset, stressed, worried, fearsome, anger. You take it head on. You're leaning forward in the wind, and you're like, yes, I'm taking the storm in. I'm in it right now, and I'm going to get through this. And you overcome it, and then you just start being uncomfortable, or you start being comfortable in the uncomfortable, so those are some words of wisdom, if I may, on the failure side. Always embrace the lesson learned in it,
Well, you gave several key takeaway today. So I got mine all bankable, business coaches, leverage, and just
due diligence.
Due diligence.
Oh, man. Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate everything, V, for sure.
So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Once again, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and share this episode with a friend who is looking for freedom.